Shalom Israel, shalom, shalom. Glad to be presented the illustrious opportunity to come out here and preach forth the beautiful truth, bring out the beautiful gospel, having an influence of waking up a lot of our people, let them know that who we are in the Bible and that we are the Hebrew Israelites that the Bible talks about. Yeah, every Native American, Indian, man, woman and child. Same with every so-called Hispanic, Latino and so-called blacks. We are the Hebrew Israelites that the Bible talks about. Okay, and it's always an honor to be out here week in, week out on the Sabbath, bringing forth this beautiful truth. So obviously that's always by Yahweh as well. So obviously I'm going to give all praise, glory and honor to Yahweh, Baal Shem, Yahweh Shai, Waha, Rakah, Kadash. And obviously I've got to give a massive shout out to the brothers out there in the four corners of the earth, help fulfilling the prophecy of Ezekiel 37, the southern kingdom and northern kingdom being combined into one, the two states coming into one. And obviously massive shout out for using outlets such as Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. That's obviously help pushing forth this word, pushing forth this truth. Every passing day, more and more of our people are starting to wake up, and we are starting to recognize we are the people of the book. We are the people that the Bible talking about. Okay, this is our true nationality, lineage, and race. Okay, this is who we are in the scriptures. So massive shout out to all the brothers involved. Massive shout out to the sisters as well that are hearkening and being submissive unto the men of the Lord. Yeah, massive shout out to the brothers that obviously have their houses in order. Okay, letting setting the foundation within the household as to how it should be, as to how the scriptures permit it to be. So yeah, massive shout, and obviously again all praises to the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for making it possible for us to do the work. Doing the work as to how the scriptures permit us to do the work, not deceitfully or in vain. Okay, so massive shout out to everyone involved, massive shout out to everyone that's playing their part. And the lesson I want to bring forth today is why we are destroyed as a people. Okay, and the simple answer is that us so-called blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, we are destroyed due to lack of knowledge because we are forsaken the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And one thing I've noticed within our nation is that we don't query as to why we're destroyed. We don't query as to why we hate each other. Why we have no foundation within our race. Why is there no unity amongst our race? Why we're, constantly wanting to pick fights with one another. And why don't we recognize who we are? Why don't we recognize our history? Why don't we recognize who we are in the Bible? Okay? And it's often the cases we're looking for the answers from our enemies. That's who we're depending on. A lot of our people are going towards Esau and other nations to solve the problems that we have. But it's as simple as this. The problems will be solved if we return home. And this right here is home. Okay? The law, statutes, commandments are here. And these curses that our people are under, which I'm going to go into as well, it's because we forsook this. We forsook the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And the only way we can alleviate these curses and bring unity within our race and nation is if we just return home. Okay? Malachi 3:7 says the Most High is calling for us to come home. He says, return unto me. And despite all our wickedness and everything that we've done, the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is still calling for us to come home. But a lot of us are rejecting the call. We're rejecting the invitation. And the more we're rejecting the invitation, the more problems being invited onto our nation, and the more the curses are being inflicted upon our people. Okay, we're not making it easy for ourselves. We're not making it easy for ourselves as a nation. Okay, the answer is right under our nose, but yet we want to go north, east, south, and west. But the answers are right here. Okay, so why we are destroyed as a people, and I'm gonna go through precepts and scriptures to prove as to why we are destroyed as a nation. The orators are willing. Okay, so the first precept I'm going to bring out is 2nd Ezra 7 from 20 to 24 in the Apocrypha. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7, Starting at verse 20. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of God, Yahweh power, that is set before them. So we will set laws, statutes, commandments, but our people despise them. Okay, we despise the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Verse 21. This is what it says. For God Yahweh have given straight commandments to such as came. So he's given us straightforward commandments, and all we had to do was just be obedient, and the life would have been very, very simple. And it says what they should do to live. So to live, and you can say it's kind of twofold, because living, obviously in terms of flourishing, and obviously just having a good life, and then obviously we have the everlasting life, you know, which we only have the privilege of sustaining. Okay, so it says what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Okay, if we just follow the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, we avoid punishment. Now that sounds pretty damn simple to me. Okay, but for some reason we just make it extremely difficult for ourselves. I don't understand why. Okay, we'll give the law, statutes, commandments for us to live life, you know, and have the possibility of sustaining / obtaining eternal life, but we just, for some reason, we don't want it. Okay, we just despise the law of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, but yet we're so quick to accept the laws of the land, the laws of our enemies. Yeah, we're so quick to be obedient unto that, but then yeah, when it comes to Yahweh, who's the creator of all things, we don't wanna accept the laws. But anyways, I'm gonna read on. To avoid so I'll take it from 21 again. For God Yahweh have given straight commandments to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should do to avoid punishment. Verse 22. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him, and imagined vain things. So we were not obedient, we were very despiteful, and we spoke bad, negative things about Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and we imagined vain thoughts, you know. Hence we're in the condition we are in today. Verse 24. Actually, wait. So verse 23 is like here. And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. So they completely forsook Yahweh. They didn't think he was that the be all end all. They didn't fear him. Okay, we pursued our own will and imagined vain thoughts. And then guess what happened? Now we're in the predicament we are in today. Okay, Yahweh punished us. He had to show us what true love was about by punishing us, chastising us, because we're not obedient unto his laws. Verse 24. But his law have they despised, and denied his covenants, and his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed his works. So just what I've been saying really is just, you know, we despise his laws. We were constantly forsaking Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You know, we didn't fear the laws. We didn't care about the laws. We didn't see as anything serious. Okay? And obviously as a result, we are punished. Next precepts is 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, from verse 55 to 60, starting at verse 55. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. For they had taken liberty. They despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Okay? Verse 57. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, and said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die. Okay? Verse 59. For as the things aforesaid shall receive you. So thirst and pain are prepared for them, for it was not his will that men should come to naught. Verse 60. But they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them. So Yahweh Hashem Yahushua prepared life for us, and he was going to look after us from start to finish. But we despised the laws, we were unthankful. Okay? He helped us secure the promised land by kicking out the previous inhabitants of that land, which were the Hamites, okay? The Hamites were occupying the promised land. We completely turfed them out of their own turf, and we took over the land, you know? And what helped was obviously the plagues that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua sent forth in Egypt. You know, it was the blood, the frogs, the flies, everything. There were a multitude of plagues that were dashed upon Egypt. Yeah, and we helped them, and he helped us kick them out of their land, and we took over the promised land. But yet, we still wasn't thankful. We were murmuring. We were just being very, very stubborn and stiff-necked. You know, that's what Yahweh Bashem Yahushua had to punish us. Next precept will be Tobit. Next precept is the book of Tobit, chapter 3, verse 5, and it reads, "And now thy judgments are many and true. Deal with me according to my sins and my fathers, because we have not kept thy commandments, neither have walked in truth before thee." Now, one thing I'll say about Tobit, he was very humble. Okay, Tobit had a very humble, meekful spirit. He knew about giving alms towards his fellow brethren, okay, and helping out the poor. That's the type of spirit Tobit had, and obviously he knew why they were in the predicament they were in, because they'd forsaken the laws, okay. And Tobit was someone that feared Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, but unfortunately, a lot of our foremothers and forefathers didn't have the same mindset, okay. Didn't have the same mindset. And Tobit wanted things to be restored, like in the sense where, you know, things were very easy for us. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua on our side, which he's still on our side today, but obviously it's a case where he was hoping to be a case where that there were no wickedness among the nation of Israel. Okay? That's the type of spirit Tobit had. He feared Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And he wanted us to walk in a way of righteousness and living by the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay, because I'll just read out quickly an example as to the type of spirit Tobit had, because you go to chapter 2 verse 6, it says, remembering that prophecy of Amos, as he said, your feast shall be turned into mourning and your mirth into lamentation. And that's because we're disobedient, you know, that's because we're disobedient. So Tobit done the diligent search, and also he understood why things were the way they were. Okay, so this is what we need to do. We need to have Tobit's spirit. We need to have his mindset. We all need to have it, so then that way we can all come together, and that way we can help alleviate the curses. And again, this is why we are destroyed as a people. Okay, the answers are in this book. I'll quickly go to. I'm going to return to the normal Bible. I think I'm done with the Apocrypha for now. Go to 2 Kings. The book of 2 Kings chapter 21, starting at verse 6. And this is, by the way, just to give some background context, this is in relation to Manasseh, who did a whole bunch of like wicked stuff, okay? And I'm going to read out some of the examples that Manasseh did. And what I'm about to read here is the examples of the wickedness that our people were doing. And this is why the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushua forsook us, okay? This is what I got to bring out. So verse 6, and he made his son pass through the fire and observed times and used enchantments and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. Okay, so proper wicked stuff that Yahweh didn't permit. And he wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord Yahweh power to provoke him to anger. So this is what people did. We provoked Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to severe and absolute immense anger, to the point where he just had enough, you know, and he had to make us suffer the things that we suffered, even unto this day, you know. Verse 7, and he set a graven image of the grove that he had made in the house of which the Lord Yahweh said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house, and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Okay? So our people are into dealing with familiar spirits and wizard and all types of wickedness, making our sons and daughters pass through fire. We used to sacrifice our children onto pagan idols. Okay? This is the type of stuff our people were doing. I'm gonna jump to verse 21. Wait, yeah, we've jumped to verse 21. No, sorry, it's Slakia. Yeah, sorry, it's Slakia. Verse 9. But they hearken not. Okay, there we go. We hearken not. In other words, we're not obedient. But they hearken not. And Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom the Lord Yahweh destroyed before the children of Israel. So all our enemies combined, King Manasseh alone committed more wickedness than all our enemies combined. Like, just think about that for a second. That's how wicked our people were. Okay? And I'm gonna go to actually 16. I'm gonna go to 11 to 16, starting at verse 11. So this is 2 Kings chapter 21, verse 11. Because Manasseh, king of Judah, have done these abominations and have done wickedly above all that the Amorites did, which were before him, and have made Judah also to sin with his idols. Okay, again, our people were just into idolatry, worshipping different gods and idols. This is why people are destroyed. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, God of Israel, behold, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem. So this is now we're getting somewhere in terms of why Yahweh did what he did. Okay, so this is Yahweh talking. I'll take from verse 11 from the top. Because Manasseh, king of Judah, have done these abominations and have done wickedly above all that the Amorites did, which were before him, and have made Judah also to sin with his idols. Verse 12. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, behold, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth it, both his ears shall tingle. So meaning that we'll be petrified, because pangs and travail is going to come upon our nation for being very wicked. Okay? Verse 13. And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish. Okay, that's a simile right there. So Yahweh's going to wipe us the same way a man wipeth a dish. So think about when you're washing the dishes, you're wiping with a cloth when drying it up. So this is basically Yahweh saying he's going to turn us upside down. And boy, didn't he do such a job, I must say. But then again, it's our fault. So I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. So he completely flipped, he basically turned us upside down. Okay, turned the whole nation of Israel upside down. And yet we still don't fear him. That's just the type of people, that's just the type of mindset our people have. And I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance. Okay, so I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance. So he will forsake us. Why? Because we're disobedient. And deliver them into the hand of their enemies, and they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies. So that's obviously, look at the curses our people are under today. We're constantly being persecuted by our enemies, constantly subject to racism, police brutality and stuff like that, because we're disobedient. And then yet again we're still looking for our enemies to save us, but despite them being the ones that are persecuting us. Okay, that's just backwards thinking. Because why are you seeking salvation and help from your enemies that are the same people that are trying to destroy you? Okay? Verse 15. Because they have done that which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger, since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day. Okay. Verse 16. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much. So he was killing a lot of innocent babies, a lot of infants. You know, our people killing a lot of innocent people. Our kings were killing, especially the wicked kings. They were killing a lot of innocent people. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin. Okay, so he caused the whole nation, in fact, he caused the whole kingdom of Judah to sin. You know, he caused the whole nation, he caused the whole kingdom of Judah to sin. Which I must say, by the way, you got northern kingdom and you got southern kingdom. The northern kingdom were disobedient first. They were disobedient first, and Yahweh forsook them first. But he had mercy upon Judah for King David's sake, because him and King David had a very close relationship. King David was Yahweh's favorite, so he had mercy upon Judah for King David's sake. Okay, but it got so bad to the point where Yahweh was like, you know what, I'm going to forsake Judah also because of what King Manasseh did. Okay, so it's King Manasseh's fault as to why Judah got completely turned over inside out in more ways than one. Okay, because of the type of wickedness he was conducting, and the type of wickedness he was allowing a multitude of Israelites within the southern kingdom to conduct also. So this is why Israel as a whole nation, north and south, were completely forsaken and destroyed. Okay, so wherewith he made Judah to sin, in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh power. Okay, so that's your answer right there, or at least one of the few answers anyways. Being disobedient. I'm going to bring out another precept. Second Chronicles chapter 29 verse 6 to 9. Okay, so this is the Second Chronicles chapter 29, starting at verse 6. For our fathers have trespassed and done that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord our God, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the habitation of the Lord Yahweh, and turned their backs. Verse 7. Verse 7. Also they have shut up the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps, and have not burned incense, nor offered burnt offerings in the holy place unto the God of Israel. Verse 8. Wherewith the wrath of the Lord Yahweh was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as you see with your eyes. Okay, so that's why we're being tortured by enemies, because we're not doing what we're supposed to do, offering burnt offerings unto the Lord Yahweh in the holy places, okay, in the temples. Verse 9. For lo, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. So this is the reason why we're in captivity, because we're forsaking laws that we should be keeping. Okay, so that's why we are forsaken, and that's why the Most High completely forsook us for a certain time period. Okay, so that's King Hezekiah talking, just to give you some background context. King Hezekiah was also a righteous king. He was one of the righteous kings, and he was the one that was trying to restore the house of Israel by getting them to keep certain basic laws. You know, a lot of basic laws that our forefathers and mothers were forsaken, and he was about restoring the whole concept of conducting the Passover you know, and other laws. And King Hezekiah was someone that feared Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and he's one that also had faith. He had severe faith in Yahweh, and yeah, I believe it was him. Yeah, it was King Hezekiah who was on the brink of death, and Yahweh added more life onto him for a certain amount of years. I think it was 15 years, if I'm not mistaken. 15 more years he was allowed to live, you know. So that's the reward you get for fearing Yahweh, and you know, doing the works of Yahweh, and obviously fearing him severely. Okay, and this is what people need to do. We need to do a follow pursuit as to what the righteous kings were doing back in ancient times, you know. But in this era, in this captivity, our people are very destroyed. And I'm gonna bring out another precept before I break down some of the curses. So I've got one here, Hosea. It's the book of Hosea, chapter 6. It's the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. Plain and simple. We rejected knowledge, we rejected Yahweh, so Yahweh rejected us. Yeah? And that's why in this captivity, we don't know who we are. We don't really know who we are. It's just only until now we're starting to wake up. In our previous captivities, we knew who we were. We always knew who we were. We knew about certain customs, but in this captivity, you know, we're completely unawares as to who we are. And that's because Yahweh has rejected us, because we rejected him. We despise his law. And speaking of which, I'm gonna go to verse chapter 8 and verse 12. So it's the book of Hosea, chapter 8, verse 12. I have written to him the great things of my law, but they were counted as a strange thing. And that's our people. We counted the law as a strange thing. You know, we counted as a strange thing. And that's why, and even when you look at the Christian churches today, they're so quick to say, oh, the law, statutes, commandments are over and done with. We ain't got to keep no law. Oh, we just got to have faith, X, Y, and Z. Because they're just seen as a yoke of iron upon the neck. So imagine just walking and you have like a yoke of iron on your neck. That's not what it's designed for. It's designed for us to walk in righteousness. You know, we got to see that as a privilege, because out of all nations that are upon the face of the earth, we were the only ones given law, statutes, commandments. And if we're obedient, we obtain everlasting life. We have the celestial bodies. Yeah? We have the celestial bodies. We have the incorruptible bodies. That we're the only ones that could obtain that privilege. So we shouldn't be seeing the law, statutes, commandments as a strange thing. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is break down some of the curses that are in Deuteronomy chapter 28. And what I say about Deuteronomy chapter 28, it lays out a bunch of blessings and a bunch of curses. The first quarter of the chapter talks about the blessings we shall obtain should we be obedient to the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And from verse 16 to verse 68 lays out a bunch of curses that will be inflicted on our people should we be disobedient unto the law, statutes, commandments given unto us by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay, and the sad thing is, despite Moses, who was a prophet of Yahweh, speaking unto the children of Israel, despite him informing what the rewards and implications will be, should we be obedient and disobedient to the law, statutes, commandments, that we will suffer such atrocity. Okay, meaning that we'll suffer such pangs and travail and all types of horror and all types of basically that persecution, bad stuff will happen to us. It didn't bother them. It didn't seem to bother them. They weren't thinking, oh, you know what? Let me walk in the way of righteousness because I want to avoid all these curses. They weren't thinking like that. And they didn't even think about the blessings that they will get either. because our people are just so vain. But anyway, let me get to it. So Deuteronomy chapter 28, I'm going to start at verse 1. And this is Moses talking to the children of Israel, saying, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the face of the earth." So that's the prophet Moses talking to the children of Israel on behalf of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, saying that if we are obedient, you'll put us on high above all nations of the face of the earth. Okay? And when you read from where is it? And when you read from like all the way from verse 1 to verse 14 or 15, no sorry, from 1 to 14, those are the blessings that our people will obtain should we hearken unto the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? And verse 15 reads, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Okay, and when you read from verse 16 to verse 68, it lays out a whole multitude of curses that will be implanted on our people for being disobedient. I'm going to read out a couple curses that our people are under. And again, this is the reason why we are destroyed, because Deuteronomy 28 lays out a bunch of curses that are generational and are even on our people, even onto this day. So I'm going to read out a couple and let you know that there's a reason why certain things are the way they are today. It's one of my favorite ones, verse 50. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 54. And it reads, "So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye should be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave." So the man that is tender among you. So back in our day, us as brothers will tender amongst each other. Like we'll greet each other, we'll be like, "Oh, how's it going?" And a little kiss on the cheek, you know. As they call it, a French kiss. But our people invented that. And it's saying his eye should be evil toward his brother. So when you look at today's generation, we have black on black crime, you know. And even you have certain so-called Hispanics, Latinos, who are the descendants of the children of the nation of Israel. They're one of the 12 tribes of Israel. If you look at what they're involved in, their eyes are evil towards each other as well. So it goes to show that they're under the curses as well. I think it's called MS-13, one of the gangs that are affiliated, and they're killing each other like animals over there. Same way we're killing each other, same way so-called blacks are killing each other. You know, Latinos and Hispanics, they're killing each other as well. You know, so it goes to show that they're under the curses. And that's because we don't know who we are as a people. And that's because, you know, we were disobedient. Okay, so that's the proof in the pudding right there. His eye should be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom. So now we're sleeping with each other's wives and we're bragging about it. That's why we have a lot of these American rappers, these UK rappers. They brag about sleeping with another man's girl. You know, they say that with their whole chest as well, and they have no shame. And toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. So we look at fatherless homes. I grew up with no father. I didn't have a father in my life. Okay, he abandoned me when I was a baby. No, in fact, before my mum gave birth to me, he abandoned me. Okay, and this is one of the many curses that our people are under. That they had no dad in their home. Okay, they had no fathers, and that's just the way it is in the so-called black community. A lot of our fathers are not around. Okay, and Esau does his very best to ensure that the so-called black fathers, are not in the household of the black families, because that way it keeps us at the bottom. It keeps us destroyed, because no masculinity is inserted within us. Okay, because fathers play a heavy role in that aspect. What else we got? If I got another one here, verse 48, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. It's like it. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, and hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So that right there is talking about slavery. That's a prophecy on slavery, because look at slavery pictures. Our people had a yoke of iron upon our necks. We had iron on our necks until we were destroyed. We were constantly hungry, we were constantly thirsty, and we're in want of all things. And even on to this day, it's the same thing. We're in want of all things. Oh, Black Lives Matter, we want approval from every other race but our own, and we want equality and diversity. We want to be respected as people from our enemies, and that type of stuff. And when you look at it as well, we the ones that have to go to them for everything. We have to go buy clothes off them, food, drink, everything. In want of all things. So we have to go to our enemies for these things. Okay? Things that were used to survive, we got to pay for. We got to pay for them. Okay? And verse 32. Got another one here, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So we're the ones that have to constantly seek loans. We're the ones that have to constantly seek loans from our enemies. We don't give loans to them, they give it to us. Okay? Because we're not in a position of power. And this is why we have no so-called black businesses, because we're at the bottom, they're at the top. Okay? And this is also why it's very hard for our people to get jobs, because these are one of the curses. It's difficult for us to get jobs. We're already prejudged. For example, when we're going to that job interviews and stuff like that, they'll be thinking, oh, he's a so-called black man. Yeah, we don't want him in this organization, or we don't want him in this company, And we have to go to them for everything. If we want to buy a house, get a mortgage, if you want to start a business, we got to seek approval from them. Because like I said, they're at the top and we're at the bottom. And again, they're sending out loans to us, and we're not doing the same to them. And the thing is with loans as well, if you're not paying it by a certain time, the interest rate increases, and that way you're in more debt. And again, that's crafty from Esau, because it keeps us in a submissive mindset. It keeps us in a mindset of fear, if you think about it, because and you're in debt, thinking, damn, I'm in debt, so I'm gonna make this money, I gotta do everything out of my own will to get this money. Okay? And a lot of our people end up doing drugs, selling cocaine, doing fraud to make money. Okay? Because one of the reasons because they're in heavy debt and they gotta pay it off, otherwise they'll be evicted for not paying bills, and all type of stuff. So Esau's very clever. He's very crafty and smart. And just in general, this is the reason why we're at the bottom, because these are the curses that have been inflicted upon us for being disobedient. Okay? I'll bring out one more. Verse 68. I have to say this is arguably my most favorite. It says, and the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And this is a prophecy on the transatlantic slave trade, okay, which happened, I believe, 1600s, roundabouts. And our people, this is when our people got shipped over to the Americas, okay. So this is a prophecy on the transatlantic slave trade, okay. So this is why a lot of prophecies occurred. And a lot of our people don't know this, because we're disobedient. Okay, we're so quick to put the blame elsewhere and say, oh, look what these people did to us, X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, if we were just obedient, none of this would have happened. Okay, so we've got to look at ourselves and acknowledge as to why and where we went wrong. And this is where we need to come together and rebuild. Okay, this is why we need to come home. And this is the prophecy on the transatlantic slave trade. And a lot of those people in America, are the descendants of the tribe of Judah, okay? Because there's a lot of people from the southern kingdom that got shipped over to the Americas, and there's a case where they are the true Jews. Like those people in America, they're the real Jews, okay? Because the term Judah is an abbreviation for the term Jew, and a lot of our people in America are from the southern kingdom, and a lot of them are specifically from Judah. So so that's obviously a bit of history to understand. But yeah, this is why a lot of things happen, because we're just simply just disobedient, seeking our own will, seeking our own pleasure, and that hasn't really done us much favors. And as a result, we are destroyed, So this is why these curses are upon our people. And like I said, in order for these curses to be alleviated, we gotta return home. We gotta come home, and and Yahweh will look after us more, because we're in the last days, and every day is just going very quick. Every day is the minutes, the hours, the seconds. They're all speeding up. Everything's speeding up. Wickedness is increasing because this kingdom's about to fall. Times are very, very short right now, so we got to make the most of this time whilst we're still here. So number one, do the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Number two, be obedient unto his laws, because we want to obtain nothing but severe and concrete mercy in that day when persecution and affliction comes for the word's sake. Okay, so this is why we need to come out here, do the work, and be unified as a nation. Be obedient and humble ourselves. Okay, because we are not above our power. We are very much below. He's the creator of all things. So this is why we need to humble ourselves and just acknowledge why things are the way they are. And constantly seeking your enemies ain't gonna do you much favors. Because they're trying to destroy us. Okay, they're trying to destroy us. So, and given the fact that they're trying to destroy us, we need to understand also it's us against the whole world, because we are a very hated people. We're a very hated nation. Okay, you might get one or two that'll be like, oh, they'll try and give off the vibe, oh, that they respect you and everything, but the reality is they don't. We're not respected people, because behind our backs they slaughter us verbally and physically. Okay, they say all types of bad stuff about us because they do not respect us as a people. That's just what it is. So we need to stop looking for validation from other nations and other people. Seek validation from Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. That's all we need to do, because he's the one that could make us obtain mercy and salvation. Sorry, he has the ability to put us in celestial bodies and be incorruptible. It's all Yahweh. We can't be seeking validation from people and anything but Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. Okay? So with that, Israel, hopefully you enjoyed the lesson. Hopefully you were edified. Hopefully, you were enlightened to a few things that I've read out. Hopefully you would have sustained severe truths and understanding as to why we are destroyed as a people. Hopefully this has encouraged you and motivated you to do the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, be obedient unto his laws, and start walking in the way of righteousness. Hopefully this has opened your eyes. Hopefully this has opened your eyes and made you realize as to why we're in the predicament we are in today. Okay? So, yeah, hopefully it was an edifying lesson, and yeah, share, I advise you to share this word, share this video to many brothers and sisters out there that are very lost and obviously, don't know what's what. They need a foundation. They need to discover a foundation and build on that foundation. That'll help them secure that salvation in the end. Kind of rhymes when you actually think about it, but yeah. Nevertheless, hopefully you're edified. Hopefully you were inspired, and hopefully, yeah, you would have learned something, and hopefully you enjoyed the lesson. And with that, Israel, I'm gonna close out and give all glory and praises and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Waha, Rakah, Kadash, Kum Yashala. Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Until next time.